Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Pathfinder Kingmaker. I'm your host, Colors Fade. It's episode 42. We are in the Goblin Fort still, making our way through it. And a bit of bad news. I recorded this episode, and the next 4 episodes, I believe, and the microphone was turned off and I didn't notice. So you're going to get post-editing audio voiceover narration, which is a little bit different, isn't it? It's a little bit different when I'm watching it after the fact. This is almost like doing a YouTube premiere, or, well, it is. It's a lot like doing a YouTube premiere where I'm sitting here watching it with you, and then I'm going to yammer on as I'm going. Anyway, the Goblin Fort, there's still a lot of goblins between us and them, and trying to figure out the best way to move here as well, and getting these guys some potions. I need to grab some more of these, actually, because I think right in here is where I start using them and kind of run out real fast. I thought it was pretty funny because there's a meme that shows these skeletons picking over. You've probably seen this meme. There's a meme that shows some skeletons picking over a dead adventurer, and the guy's like, look at this. He's got a wand of lightning and all these potions. He probably should have used some of this stuff. And I'm like, that's me. I hoard my potions. So these guys come on, yeah, and they're taking a bite out of Amiri. So the common thing is to want to use Lindsay in the first. Look at that. He really whacked the hell out of her. Jeez. But she nails that. 2 of them. The Goblin Sneak and the Dire Wolf fail their saving throws, and the Goblin Horse Reaper doesn't. So I like that because then it makes it easy on what you can do. This is probably part of the reason that I like Pathfinder Kingmaker so much for its combat system, is that I've really never seen a bard work this way in any other game. Now I'd have to go back and play like Neverwinter Nights 2 again and see if a bard in that game has the same kind of skills with its songs, but I don't think it does. I think Neverwinter Nights 2 used the 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons rules. Let's see. I'm going to look that up. Yep, it uses the Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition rule set. Gosh, I need to go back and play that game. That was the game that I spent a lot of time building a module for. I built a little prologue module that only takes a couple hours to play. And it was supposed to be a prologue to a much larger 40-hour main campaign. And I got quite a ways into building that. And then I abandoned it to try my hand at writing, to try to see if I could get myself a writing career, which seems to be going in a much better direction than building that game module was. I figured by the time I actually got that module done, there'd be nobody playing Neverwinter Nights 2, and I didn't really want to spend a whole lot of time releasing a module out into the world that maybe 3 people was going to play. And I thought, well, I've probably got a better chance of having people read my books if I try to become a writer instead. And that actually has turned out to be true. Even just in the unpublished phase, my first fantasy manuscript has now had over 20 readers, critique partners and beta readers and friends who've wanted to read it. And that's been nice. And I mean, if it gets published, lots more people would read it. That'd be really cool. So I
serves you right.
As an artist, whether you're making a game or making music or writing a book or drawing or whatever, certainly you're feeding your need to create. But for me, it's about getting people to see the thing or read the thing. I've had a lot of critique partners and friends in the writing circle ask me, do you want to self-publish? Are you going to self-publish the book? And my answer to that is always no way, because I don't want to just publish a book. I want people to read it. And if I self-publish a book, maybe 10 people will read it. Daniel Green is a very excellent fantasy person to follow on YouTube. He does fantasy news. He reads books. He does reviews of things like books and manga and all kinds of stuff, and some sci-fi in there. But he's just a very young man who's very personable. I think that's why his channel does so well. So yes, let me out. Come on, move it. Are you waiting for the entire Goblin Horde to show? Yes. He's Tingy Jesmer, the free merchant. Now that the formalities are out of the way, you can see about setting me free. So, well, gosh, I don't even remember which option I chose here. This guy is pretty snarky, so I went neutral evil. Oh, geez, did I really? Nope. Staying true to my character self here, so I let him out. This is the tough choice, is all of these people, a bunch of them are probably infected, and letting them go means you're just going to have to fight them as giant creatures later. But getting back to Daniel Green, he's a very well-known fantasy booktube person, as they call them on YouTube. And he has a following, a subscriber count of 500,000 people on YouTube. So when he released his first self-published book, it did way better than he thought it would, simply because a whole bunch of his subscribers bought his book. Unfortunately, my subscriber base is people who want to watch me play video games. So it's not like my nearly 17,000 YouTube subscribers can be leveraged into book sales. I don't think that can happen. So that's why I'm working so hard to go the traditional publishing route and get myself an agent. Ragongar finally tossing that out. He's got that little wand. It's very nice. Ragongar is a character. See, this is why you have your protection for poison on. You got delayed poison on. Communal. It's just for occasions like that. Ragongar is a character that I really want to go through the game again a second time, all the way through to the end. Well, this is the second time all the way through to the end. This will be. I'd like to go through the game again, and I'd like to play him slightly differently. I play him, since he has such a high charisma, I decide to go the whole Dreadful Carnage route with him, so that when he strikes people, that the blow goes and affects all the nearby enemy allies, and they all get shaken. So I have both him and Valerie doing shaken on all the enemies. They both have high charisma. They're both really good at that job. But I would like to go through the game a second time, and instead of doing any of that with Ragongar, take his feats and poke them into evocation, and let him have a couple of spells like Fireball and Lightning Bolt, just so he can have a little bit more fun with them, because you can turn him into this caster, and it would be kind of fun. But that's the thing, is he really needs to have the points poked into spell focus evocation and greater spell focus evocation and spell penetration, so that he can hit with those things. And that's 3 feats you have to take away from things like Dreadful Carnage and Dazzling Display and Power Attack, which isn't a bad trade-off, really. It's just that that's not the way I'm going this time, so you don't get to see it. But that's always one of the funnest parts of games like this, is the ability to play through again and try out different builds and different characters. Like, I would really like to go through the game and have Ragongar use a Falcata instead for the bigger crit range. And I'd like to go through the game and have Valerie use a Fauchard instead, because it's got such a bigger crit range on it, but it costs a point to spend so that she can get that exotic weapon proficiency to use it, and that delays her ability to get Dreadful Carnage. That's the trade-off when you do stuff like that. So, but I think Ragongar with a Falcata and a focus on evocation would be pretty damn fun. I think that would be pretty cool. So lots of enemies between here and there. Between getting to the end of this zone. And somewhere up here are some sleepy gnomes. Yeah, they're drunken goblins. They're not gnomes, they're goblins. It's almost the same thing. Gnome, goblin. One's annoying, the other's annoying in a different way. Except for Knock Knock. He's not annoying. He's just funny. Again, that's just one of the things they did so well in this game. Is how they wrote the characters. Because Ragongar, for instance, is a bloodthirsty half-orc ex-slave who chooses violence all the time. He could be a very boring character. Or he could be a very just rub you the wrong way character. But instead, he's brilliant. Part of that is that they paired him with Octavian. They have a rapport going between them. They've got a little swingers threesome vibe going on with him, which is really fun. But he's also he's got great art. He's got a great voice actor, and they give him really, really fun dialogue. And he's got this little bit of biting humor to him, which makes him fun. And Knock Knock could have been so annoying. Who wants to have a goblin in their group? But they made him hilarious. And just the way he earnestly asks people questions and says certain things to Lindsay. She lost her think thoughts. It's just, they had some really good writing for these companions. Really good. So we have a pack of goblins up here getting very close to the end. Yep, you approach a massive totem of Lamashtu that is surrounded by goblins. Despite all the noise you have made on your way here, nobody pays attention to you. Right now, they are busy tying up screaming, crying people to the totem. A few more goblins are standing nearby, shrieking fiercely and stomping their feet to the rhythm of a melody known only to them. The shaman emerges from behind the backs of the tribe members, a goblin you already know, covered in tattoos and bedangled with amulets. This time his face is painted with red clay and soot, and a necklace of sharp teeth adorns his neck. The shaman is holding a crudely painted bowl above his head and singing in a plangent, dismal tone that resembles a howl more than a song. The other goblins pick up the melody and give way to the shaman, who is walking toward the totem. Bad news all around. This must be stopped, please. Well, if we have to choose between chaotic evil and lawful good choices, it's pretty easy. At the sound of your attack, the goblins around the totem spring up to their feet and grab their weapons. The shaman sees you and yells violently, throwing the bowl of water at you. Before you have time to react, he disappears into the goblin crowd, which, in turn, attacks you. And off he goes.
Let's see what they're made
Let's.
of.
So there's a surprisingly large amount of goblins here. And Lindsay is way down the line. We're going to try to fix that in a later episode when she levels up and give her +4 to her initiative so that hopefully she can start going earlier. That's the other thing I'd like to do on a subsequent playthrough is replace Lindsay with a tall human with a very long stride. I think that would be cool. But like I said at the outset here, I was trying to get through this particular playthrough only using the story companions. You can do all kinds of stuff with mercenaries. It can be pretty cool. I mean, the last time I went through the game, which was the only time I've ever gone all the way to the very end and defeated the enemy, I replaced Tristan and Harim with my own Ecclesia Thurge. Just a merc that I hired and built up because I did like the way a lot of Tristan was built, except I think I took different domains. I know I didn't take the fire domain with my guy. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look it up again. Nice critical hit for 46 there, Knock Knock. Good job, buddy. He's a menace, and it's really nice because he gets so many attacks as a dual wielder too, and he's really good at hitting stuff. So there are certain enemies that he can be very, very difficult to hit but trying to hit that guy, but his saving throw succeeded. He rolled a 20, of course. Keep this in the back of your mind. Like, I don't know. It's just my luck with dice, I suppose, but it just... The enemies in this game are always rolling 18, 19s, and 20s when they're saving against my spells. Now, I say that, but obviously a whole bunch of them are failing because Lindsay's mezzing them all the time with their songs. It's just like when it seems like it's a single targeted spell and I get lucky enough to actually hit the enemy with it, then they win their saving throw with a really high roll. That's the thing that I don't like about using single target spells like that, is first you have to roll to hit, which means you're still taking combat penalties if you're rolling into combat. So, you know, you're taking a -4 if you're shooting, quote unquote, your spell into combat. So you have to hit first, and then they still get the roll to determine if they save against the spell. And I was always like, why do spells have to hit? Why don't they automatically hit? And what determines the only thing you have to worry about is the saving throw then? That's the part I've never understood. Like, spells should just automatically hit, shouldn't they?
You forced my hand.
Seems weird that there's 2 points of failure for a spell. But there's really only 1 point of failure for a melee weapon. Unless a creature has concealment. Then you got to roll to pass concealment, and then you got to roll to hit. So I guess that's the one time that spells and melee work out together. That was nice. It's nice that I only got to roll a 2 to hit those damn things. Little punks. But the first time I went through this game, I had to use healing all the time because I didn't understand the value of Lindsay and her songs. I had no clue. Really did not. And I'm not even sure how I stumbled on that. If I had watched a YouTube video or not, because I tend not to watch any YouTube videos.
Come here, Bax. Knock
I think I must have just sat down the most recent time when I went through the game and finished it completely. I think I sat down and was like, okay, I'm really going to analyze every single spell and ability that my companions have and take a good hard look at them and figure out how they work. And that resulted in this. Resulted in me finally getting through the game. Because it's a 2-part thing. It's figuring out how the companions and all their spells and ability work, and it's figuring out how to handle the kingdom management so you don't fail at it. That's the only spell that always hits. Magic Missile. Never misses. I guess that's how they want to differentiate Magic Missile from any other single target spell, is that Magic Missile always hits, but it always feels to me like that's how those spells should work. Like that nauseated spell that Tristan cast. It feels like it should automatically hit, but they still have to save. And the difference between it and Magic Missile is Magic Missile, there is no save. Ever. Which is what makes it so valuable, and people are already saying it's one of the most valuable things in Baldur's Gate 3. And I saw that going through the early access a few weeks ago. I was like, oh yes, it is quite valuable for finishing off enemies. It's really nice when you have 2 or 3 enemies with really low health. They've got 2 or 3 hit points apiece, and you can sit there and split up a Magic Missile and take them all down. Get him, knock knock. The Goblin Sneak Whack. That's a great name for an enemy. The Goblin Sneak Whack. I love it. Oh, Lindsay, you're getting tormented here. She's like, I gotta get up there and take that guy out. Ping him again, darling. She's like, I'm gonna put that guy on the ground. Boink. She told a funny. A rock eye. That's funny, but it's like, Oh my gosh, I rolled a 5 and a 6 and all I needed was an 8.
Die for me.
I need a little more buffage though, because an 8 is almost a 10, which is a 50% coin flip roll. So I thought that was interesting. Mark Wheeler, several episodes ago, left a comment saying that, did I think I was too reliant upon buffs? And the answer to that is no. And a huge part of that is just that in this particular game, when you're rolling a d20 for everything, every single little bonus matters. When you can go from having to roll an 8 or higher to hit an enemy to only needing to roll a 2 or higher to hit an enemy, that's huge. And that can be done with just a couple of buffs. You get +2s from things like Cat's Grace, and you get a +2 from Heroism, and you get a +2 from Lindsay's Song, and you get a +2 from Shrinking. I get a +2 to my dex from shrinking myself, and all of those things add up, and then it just makes it way easier
So it's come
to hit
this.
the enemies, because if you don't do that, what winds up happening is your characters either get really injured or even die, and then at the end of every single battle, you're having to expend a lot of resources healing. Where here, all we really need to do is heal Knock Knock and Lindsay one time. It's a little tiny bit of healing. And not having to waste all of your healing after every single engagement is what allows you to streak across a big map like this and not have to rest. And not have to waste days on your calendar. So the prisoners are still chained to the totem. They look at you with vacant eyes. If they don't understand completely what's happening, they have simple clothes, work-worn hands, with their beaten faces. The people in front of you clearly earn their living under the sun or in the forest. Apart from the bruises and grazes, nobody looks seriously hurt. The prisoners are looking at you slightly dazed, and a shadow of horrors they've been through hangs on their faces. The path is free. Go to Keston. So, and this is all part of what we're trying to do. We need to save Keston. This is something I've never done in any of the games because when I previously played it, because I didn't know what was required. And that is a thing with Pathfinder Kingmakers. You kind of need to know what is required in order to save people later on. Keston is a character that, if you save him, can be really useful as an advisor. I've never had the chance to use him before, and when I started looking at how do I manage my kingdom the proper way, I was like, oh, Keston allows me to move Ekindeo to a different position that relies on his dexterity, and that would be way better. I had always used Ekindeo as the warden, but Keston can handle the warden job, and then Ekin can be put in a completely different position that allows him to use his dexterity, because that's the thing. Each advisor position has one defining trait. And so where you want to end up putting Keston is as the warden, because it's a constitution-based score. Now, we don't know what Keston's constitution is, but I think you can look it up. So Knock Knock, stop, I smashed the Shat Shanks alone. Oh, really? You want to fight the chief on your own? Like a true goblin, like goblin hero. Fight with anything I have, anyhow I can. Bite, kick, stab, stick, maybe bite again. Those are rules. Watch. I can't sleep knowing the rat bag wears the crown. He wanted to hit me and tell me dead. Now I hit him and show him whole tribe who Lamashtu chooses. Yeah, well, you're not going to get a fight on your own. This game has the whole Pathfinder games have a really bad habit of making characters want to fight things on their own, and if you do that, bad things happen, so. Yeah, on the wiki it doesn't show Keston's stats, so I don't actually know what they are, but he makes a pretty good warden, and the most important point of that is that it allows you to put Ekindeo in the minister, which is the only advisor that has a governing attribute of dexterity. And since you can make his dexterity pretty damn high, then it's a pretty good choice to put him in there. So it's the minister, which is the sub-advisor to the espionage person. It's under the espionage header, actually, so that's what it is. And you can also use Jathal for that job, but having Ekindeo is way better. So we're going to buff ourselves up with a bunch of potions and various things, because we're going to have to go in here and take this out. So there he is. And so this is a fight where I kind of mess up a little bit on incorrectly prioritizing targets. The target you actually... I kept thinking the Goblin King was the target that you wanted to take out first. But the target you actually want to take out first is the Goblin Shaman. This guy on the left with the... He's got some kind of glowing staff or something in a big white cloak, big white fur cloak. I actually should have been sending everyone over there to kill him first. He's a pain in the butt. But hindsight 2020. Protection from evil. It's another one of those things that gets you 2 more points. And that's the other thing about buffs. And this is mostly a comment for people like Mark who may not know, but the buffs can stack depending on the buff type. So for instance, a morale bonus to your armor class will stack with a shield bonus to your armor class. So now, like bonuses won't stack. A morale bonus from one spell to your armor class will not stack with a morale bonus to your armor class from a different spell. Whichever one is greater will take effect. But the point is, you can get all this stuff to stack and stack and stack if you pay attention to all the different buffs and skills and things. And that's, again, how you turn sort of difficult encounters or troubling encounters into easier encounters, and it's how you turn regular encounters into super easy encounters. And Mark's comment was that he didn't think he could stand for doing that much buffing, and there is a solution to that, and I left this in his comment as a reply. The solution to this game, if you don't want to spend a lot of time buffing, is to A, play the characters that don't have spells or don't have a lot of abilities. Like Knock Knock has no spells. Valerie has basically no spells. She's got and that's why that's a bad spell from that dog. The dog is the other thing you need to kill early. You need to kill the shaman because it keeps spawning enemies, and you need to kill that dog. But anyway, getting back to my point here. Characters like Knock Knock don't have spells. Valerie, if you make her a slayer like I've made her, she only really has the one ability, which is steady target. And Dreadful Carnage is something, if you take the Dreadful Carnage route with her, that's not anything you have to manually activate. That just happens when she kills things. Amiri is a character that really only has one spell, and if you make her a slayer, she only has 2 abilities, and that is just like Valerie. She has steady target, and then she has her ability to rage. So she ends up being another melee character that you don't have to worry about buffs on if you don't want to use them. So you use Valerie, use Amiri, you use Knock Knock. Use Ekindale because he's just an archer and he might have a couple of tiny self buffs to help him. And then Lindsay's the character I would keep using because her ability to cast that song is super valuable. And have yourself a cleric. And that gives you 4 melee characters that don't need buffs, a cleric for healing and a bard for mezzing. And then just lower the difficulty level. And then you don't need the buffs to get through anything. So then you just have mostly straight melee characters rolling out there, hitting things, and a much more simplified process. For me, though, I was really curious to see how the game played on core rules, because I had a pretty clear recollection of what it played like on what's called normal difficulty when I went through and I beat the game. And I thought, I really want to play it on core rules, and I was anticipating it being much harder than it has been so far. However, I'm wiser now with the buffs and the skills and understanding the power of the bard and everything. See, right now she's got to roll too high against that wolf, so she needs some help. Lindsay's got to mez everybody. And it's too bad because they could really use her additional song buff. This thing just keeps spawning and spawning. But the good news is when you kill the shaman, all these spawns dies. And since Lindsay's here still mezzing everything, they get fascinated as they wake up. So you can see right there, they're all failing. All the red caps failed their throws. So that's good. That goblin's gone. And that goblin's gone. I like my character. This is another reason I love this game. And this is the reason I also like Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, is that you can play what I consider to be the true Eldritch Knight, and it works. It just works. Dual wield kukris because they have high critical threat range. You got a ton of defensive spells to make you hard to hit. You don't have to have a lot of hit points. That's the thing you're giving up, really. Compared to real fighters, you're giving up a lot of hit points. And you can cause mayhem with your blades. Now, you could also take this character. It's hard to do with this particular character that I have, to turn them into an offensive character too with the evocation spells, because there's just not enough feats to go around. Ragongar is the better character to do that with, I think. I think the way he is set up is kind of ideal. Knock, knock. You gotta get that guy, buddy. There you go. Blessing of the Faithful to help him hit. And she's realizing, I gotta get over there and hit that thing. I gotta hit that shaman. But she can't get there without taking a penalty. Here we go. She got moved. Oh, she needed a 13 and she rolled a 12. That's just sad. Knock, knock. It's gonna be up to you, buddy. He's gotta roll a 10. Okay, there we go. Now that thing is hurt. He's gonna summon again. But we should be able to kill him real soon. Hopefully. I mean, this isn't bad. Look at all the characters on the screen. How many enemies there are. And yet right now, Valerie and Ragongar have tiny drops to their hit points. Nobody's really in danger yet. I was, and I got healed, so. It's like, can I get over there? No, not without that wolf whacking me. I'd like to kill the shaman, but somebody else will have to get him. And there, Ragongar gets an attack. Because I critically hit it. Ragongar's got to hit this thing. Got to roll a 14. Keeps missing. Critical miss. So, all the misses in a row. And then the last one, which would have hit. And she finally throws that, but its saving throw succeeded, so we still can't make it. We still can't make it droop its head and be inactive. But she gets the shaman, and look, everything dies. That's awesome. And she's still missing. She needed to roll an 18 against that thing. That winter wolf is just a menace. I think it's awful. I'm really hoping somebody hits it and crits it, because then everybody close by is going to get an attack of opportunity. Come on, Ragongar. I mean, the only thing you can really do is true strike someone to make sure you hit it, but you have to waste a turn doing it. He's going to spend one of those. It's going to give him a charisma bonus to his hit. So he does a significant amount of damage, but it's not dead yet. And she did overwhelming grief again, and this time it failed. So now it's not going to do anything. So now we could take a turn if we wanted to. But instead we'll just swing at it. She only needed the 2 that time to hit it because the overwhelming grief happened. So it's like being flat-footed and stuff. It's ready to get smacked around. I mean, that's a huge difference. She's trying to roll versus a 10 or higher numbers, and then she has to roll against a 2. That's easy. We'll take those odds. Finish off this last guy here. Get him. There we go. So not too bad. I mean, the whole party walks out of there fully healthy, and I think we expended like 2 heals the whole time. As you approach, the shaman bursts into bizarre squawking. After a moment, it becomes clear to you. The goblin, choking on its own blood, is broken into gloating laughter. The Baron be too late. The will of Lamashtu came true. The bloom be happening. What will of Lamashtu? So she's behind the seeds and the monsters? The shaman's eyes, red, small, and wicked, have a feverish glint to them. And who else? The blossom seeds came down the stream. We drink. Boom, boom. Longshanks drink. Boom, boom, boom. Flowers grow, great beasts crawl out. Lamashtu be pleased. I knew straight away what goblins do must. Go upstream to Great Mother. Find Lamashtu's womb up the river, home of great beast seed breedery. Leave guards so no one come in, and go back. Make the longshanks gulp. Taint more. Sow man death. All seeds be planted. All make it before. Make it before what? You punk? The light in the shaman's eyes is growing dim. The shaman's words become quieter and quieter. There's an apostrophe missing. We be Lamashtu's sons, watering, seed sowing, readying for the season of bloom. All together. Boom, boom, boom. The season of bloom has begun. You no stop us. Yeah, about that. Well, that's our job. Stop the season of bloom. So, we have got up here. We've killed the Goblin King. There's a little bit of loot. There's some fancy stuff to grab here, and the fancy stuff is there's a luck ring. Oh no, it's the ring Paragon of Winter. Yep. Any summoned monsters have a cold resistance. And there's the belt of physical form, dexterity and constitution +4. That's for me and Knock Knock. I think I already have one on. There's a spear. Longshank Bane. There's the Taldan spear, and there's Goblin Tenderloin. It's from his wolf. So now we have to go back to where Keston is and save everybody.
Listening as hard as I can.
I love Knock Knock's little bark strings there, little things that he says. Like, please don't rap skull. That cracks me up. They just made him funny. Or at least they made him funny in a way that tickles my particular funny bone. I've said before on this channel that I feel like I have a very specific kind of humor that I like. My favorite 3 comedies are Real Genius with Val Kilmer. I love that movie. That's number 1 every time. And I love Galaxy Quest and Office Space. And pretty much every other movie ever made that has tried to be funny, I have not found humor in. So I feel like I have a very narrow dial and a narrow slice of the funny pie. But this game, these characters, this writing makes me laugh. Especially Knock Knock. Knock Knock and Ragongar. Especially Ragongar and Valerie's banter. That kills me. Kills me because Ragongar is, yeah, you can see it's going to take a long time, so I think I edit this out. Yeah, so we clip forward to get to this point. And as you get close, that happens. You don't have to be there yet for it to happen. You just have to get close. And we're going to skip forward a little bit because what happens here is this all fails. So what we've done here is rest and rebuff. This is my 3rd attempt at the fight, actually. And what was happening here, obviously, you're seeing the seeds come out. But what's happening here is I'm thinking that I have to save Keston because he can physically die during this battle. I believe if he physically dies during this battle, he will actually get back up after it's over because he's kind of critical to the story. The part where you can lose Keston is your earlier decision when you're deciding to go save the city or Keston. And if you're lawful, you can save Keston and Jod, but it's all part of dialogue. It's not through actual combat. At any rate, as I was recording this episode, I was thinking, man, I have to get in there and save him and keep him from getting crunched. Because all of these creatures decide to go after Keston right away. So I felt like the important thing to do was haste myself, buff myself, and work my way up here as fast as possible. You can see we actually got surprised on everybody. So it allows us to maneuver a little closer, which is really nice. This was the third attempt at this battle. But again, for anybody else watching, I don't think you actually have to save Keston during this fight. I think he'll pop back up when it's over. But on this particular attempt, I did manage to save him, so that felt appropriate. This manticore here is a pain in the butt, but they will all go after him.
Not used to lighting enemies
So that's why you gotta
on fire first.
move quickly if you're going to do it. But I'm pretty certain on my... See, they'll go right after him, and that one went after me, actually. I'm pretty sure on my previous playthrough when I beat the game, I didn't know about the dialogue choices you had to make for Keston, so I lost him because I went to protect the city first. But I'm pretty sure that he died during this battle, and he popped back up at the end. Again, it's something I wish I could get clarification on, but anytime that you query Google about this, about Keston dying, it always talks about the dialogue choices, because that's when you can lose him. It never talks about the actual battle itself, which is what makes me think that he'll just pop up when it's over. But the previous battle, I was doing pretty good. Keston still died, but I was doing pretty good against all the creatures, and then Tristan got himself in trouble, and that owlbear on the right came over there and annihilated him. So I was like, oh, well, that sucks. I lost my cleric. So now we're up to Ragongar saying, okay, fine, I'm gonna do some damage here to the primal manticore. I love it when she kills things. I love it when she only has to roll a 2 to kill things. It's nice. Goblin sentry. Okay. There we go. Sneak whack that thing. Knock knock, you got 5 hits, buddy. Oh, he's just devastating. He's awesome. He's awesome. Knock knock is badass, and Keston's like, I'm still fighting. I'm like, no, stay out of the way. Lindsay, there's just nothing she can really do here. Now, the only thing that would help is the glitter dust would probably help. Its saving throw succeeded because it rolled a 13 with 8 modifiers. So if it would have rolled a 12, we would have got it. But it made it by 1. It rolled the lowest number it could have made and succeeded. So such is life. Fairy fire would help too, because it takes their blur off. They have permanent blur and it removes that. The skeletons have very little chance of hitting, but those guys, look at that. They're rolling the 20 and the 18s. We don't get those numbers, but the skeletons get them. Oh, that was nice. He got the number. He rolled a 19. That's sweet. Yeah, baby. And I rolled a 3. A 2 against a 3. Wow, all I had to do is hit a 3, and I could have hit him. That's why that extra +1 matters. If I could have rolled a 2, I'd have hit him. Oh, too funny. She's going to keep trying this, I think. Crushing despair. What are you going to do there, Lindsay? Save and throw failed. Now all it can do is move. It can't attack. Gotta love it when that happens. Ferocious owlbear. Not so ferocious now, are you? And Keston's in really good shape. You can see that he's only got like 20-25% of his health is missing, and there's 1 owlbear left. So the skeleton's trying to get in on the action.
Breathe for me.
Ragongar.
Onwards!
Only needing to roll a 2. Same thing with Valerie. And I finished it off, and everybody else got it attacked, so that was great. So at that point in time, Keston's alive, and I'm thinking, okay, this is what I needed. Again, I'm pretty sure he stands up, but when it's over. Keston breathes heavily, looking around at the bloody battlefield. Your Grace, how can this be? The people, the prisoners from the camp, they've exploded. Just like that. The shaman was mumbling about a season of the bloom. It seems the people swallowed these seeds and turned into portals. Keston wipes his brow. If all the seeds have blossomed, Abadar protect us. The capital is full of infected, both on the streets and in Kavkin's hospital. You must hurry to the capital. I will continue looking for the source of the seeds. This is your decision. This is the one that matters to determine whether he's going to lose it or not. You say, the shaman mentioned a place up the stream, Master's womb. It's the source. Then I'm gathering my men and heading up there. I swear upon my life, I will find this womb, your grace, and destroy the source of the disease. But Kavkin, gods be merciful, he has no one to protect him and the citizens. Will the guard be enough to halt the attack of these horrid creatures? No, I have to go upriver and make sure there are no new seeds. I must stop this curse at the source. So, you have to have lawful to have this choice, and this is the only way to save Keston and Jod. Keston, you are in my service, not to play hero in the woods while my subjects, the families of your militia, are being sacrificed. Now fulfill your duty. Gather your squad and take it to the capital. If he does anything else, he ends up dead. So, yeah, it's time for you to decide, your grace, where the help is more needed. Jod will defend his patience to the last. So, I'm sorry, your grace. The immediacy of the situation clouded my judgment. I shall head to the capital at once. So he does. And that, thankfully, because you were lawful, you get to save him and he gets to become an advisor, your warden, which is very, very nice. Very nice thing to have. So, for us, it means the whole loot time and move on. And you can see there's a ton of loot on the map. The important thing to do is head back to the capital now, and you do get one rest that you can take before you have to be back at the capital without any consequences that are negative. So it's a good idea to take that rest right before you go in, because you're going to need the buffs. Although we have a bunch of buffs. I don't know what I do. I think you can also rest while you're inside the capital once you get inside it, because I'm pretty sure I did. Because of the gargantuan owlbear you have to fight at the end that has a pretty damn high AC, so you want to be fully buffed so you can smack it around. The goblin sneaks, they get the masterwork daggers, so you want to pick those up. Those are worth some money. I missed the 2 daggers above like a dummy. It's much different watching the game after you've already played it. All of those particular short swords are masterwork, so they're easy to tell from the other short swords, which look like they have a broken tip on them. I don't know why I'm not grabbing those masterwork daggers. The goblin sneaks all have them. So that's how you can tell, because they've got 2 daggers and they're always masterworks. Lots of stuff, and you know, it's the money sink of the game. You're going to loot stuff, and you're going to sell it, and you're going to use that money to buy build points for your kingdom. And from that perspective only, I find the kingdom management to be valuable. It is a really valuable money sink that keeps you from just hoarding a whole bunch of wealth because you looted all these guys, and you're sitting around with a whole bunch of money, and you can walk into any forge anywhere or any magic shop and buy the most expensive thing. And instead, you really need to sell it for build points to pay for things. So from that respect, okay, I get it. And the kingdom management isn't too bad once you have a plan and know how to handle your advisors and know how to handle the story and then upgrading everybody. Like everybody says, as soon as a chapter starts, you want to immediately go deal with whatever the major plot point is there. In this case, Season of the Bloom. And after Season of the Bloom, you'll have a whole bunch of time to upgrade advisors and handle kingdom events. But until then, that's the issue. So at this point in time, we're going to save, and of course, we're going to rest. And I'm going to say to everybody my typical sign off. As always, if you dig it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your questions and comments down below. They're going to camp.
Half shanks mix words worse than long shanks. But I won't help you with your writing, Lindsay. Not even if you ask.
Oh, thank you, merciful Shaman.
Those two are so cute. Little shorties. So yeah, dig it. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Leave your questions and comments down below. I'll see you all next time. And until then, happy gaming, everyone.